Hey budget cruisers, this is a video for those of you who love the thought of going on a cruise but either don't have the money to do it normally or are interested in big savings. Let's start with just a little bit of background to see if my profile is a good match for you to get advice from. I'm not a regular cruiser, but I do like to travel. I'm a school teacher and I don't have a lot of disposable income, like most of the fellow passengers I was with on the boat. Also, I don't drink alcohol, and except for a sweet tooth, I was willing to skip many of the things other cruisers wouldn't want to live without. Maybe that's not the same for you. Although I am happily married and have 2 adult children, none of them wanted to cruise with me. So this school year has been a particularly long one, and I was craving some pampering and self-care. So I opted to do a solo cruise on a tight budget. I didn't care where it went, which ship it was on, or even how long it would be. Minimum for me would be 5 days, up to maybe 12 days was possible. I also didn't care what kind of room I got, interior room, anywhere on the ship was fine with me. I could always just wear earplugs if I needed to. My travel dates were a bit flexible as long as it was within early to mid-April during my school spring break. And since I work at a boarding school in Switzerland, I knew it would be cheaper to look for a European cruise. But since I've been living outside the US for 8 years and I'm not fluent in another language, I also focused on finding passage on a mostly English-speaking ship. And for most of you watching, you're probably based in the US or maybe Canada or even Australia. Those were the 3 biggest groups on my cruise. So if looking for a cheap cruise vacation, flying from North America to Europe is not going to be the cost-effective way to do it. You're probably going to focus on departing from New York or Fort Lauderdale or LA. For Australia, I don't know what to tell you. Long trip. I knew that cruise lines sometimes discount their tickets leading up to a cruise date, but I wasn't aware that there are discounted third-party ticket sites that constantly update lists of discounted cruises all over the world. Different cruise lines, different destinations, different lengths of cruise. And there are several of these sites, but I went with one called Vacations to Go. And I started working with Ruby Spencer, an agent there who heard my goal and was happy to work with me. I was even willing to wait just until a day or 2 before departure if it meant a better price. That was my number 1 criteria. Vacations to Go would send me occasional listings of the latest discounted prices. I was focusing on Southampton, England as a major departure port and for a round-trip itinerary because I thought I could take a train there from Switzerland and save some money. I also assumed chances of an English-speaking ship were better there, but none of those cruises worked out. Some of the prices were decent, around $1,900 for 7 to 10 days, but the ships were older, and I wasn't particularly excited about them. I started tracking a cruise on Princess on their newest boat, the Sun Princess, at 4,600 passengers and a cost of $1 billion to build. It was a mega ship and had many bells and whistles. I was also not necessarily a family cruise, and while kids are certainly invited on it and welcome there, and while Princess might argue with me, I don't feel the target audience was families like it would be on Carnival or Disney. There's no water slides on the Sun, for instance. The Princess demographic on my cruise seemed to be in the 40s to 80 plus, and while there were kids clubs and some families, they were in the minority on my cruise. I was tracking this cruise with a discounted rate of $950 for a week in the Mediterranean, but that was PPDO, or per person double occupancy. If I was traveling alone, the solo penalty, as you might call it, would be double that, or $1,900, and that was a bit higher than I wanted to spend, knowing there would be additional costs on top of that, like gratuities, port shopping, optional extras, and also my travel to get to and from the port. I wrote my agent and just mentioned casually if she ever saw that the price come down to like $1,500, I'd go for it. And the next day, she sent me a quote for $1,580, and I jumped on it. It wasn't clear if my email planted that seed or the offer just manifested itself, but I suggest telling your agent your realistic goal and seeing where things go from there. This was the base price for an interior stateroom. They got to choose where it was located, and I had no say in that. I also wouldn't find out the location until just days before, and they could even change it up until boarding. I knew that going into it, and I was okay with it. With the ticket locked in, the cruise left from Barcelona and ended in Rome, so I quickly looked up flights from Zurich. I could have taken trains, but it would have been more than double the cost and much more time to do so. Princess has an add-on package they heavily promote called Princess Plus and Princess Premier. With Princess Plus, you get Wi-Fi on ship for 1 device per person, up to 15 alcoholic drinks per day, a couple of specialty dinners, and all gratuities included for the entire cruise. This package costs $60 per person per day. Princess Premier gives you all the same but unlimited drinks and Wi-Fi for up to 4 devices per person. It also includes unlimited specialty restaurants on the ship. Princess Premier costs $90 per person per day. Nearly everyone I met on the ship had one or the other of these packages. Without them, you can use the ship's Wi-Fi, but only if in airplane mode and only to work with their app, which is free. On the app, you can order food to be delivered to you anywhere on the ship. You can see the daily schedule, you can book reservations, and even chat with other guests you've met and connected with. I did splurge and got a small dessert package. I love ice cream and had heard good reviews of the gelato on board. It was $75 for the trip, and that gave me 2 premium desserts per day. However, there's only one premium dessert station on the ship. It's on the Lido deck, and they make huge sundaes, but only with vanilla ice cream and sprinkles and a bit of cake or candy. If you want any flavor besides vanilla, you need to go to the gelateria on deck 7 by the piazza, where they have about 8 flavors. But if buying a la carte, 3 scoops there is only $4. So for less than the price of the package, you can just buy your scoops as you wish. The deluxe desserts are a whopping $17 each, which would be a good deal if they were really good, but you'd have to be an animal to eat 2 of those each day, and I was surprised that both ice cream counters closed at 10 p.m. each night. If you don't eat an early dinner, I often wasn't hungry after dinner and dessert from the dining room to go up and have a big ice cream before 10. I also splurged on one dinner. There are a few specialty restaurants on board, not included on a regular ticket. The top-rated dinner I read about was Spellbound, a small crowd, fixed menu, 6-course dinner, followed by a magic show in an exclusive bar with unlimited unique drinks, and you can stay as long as you like. That meal was $150, and while that's pricey, I thought the exclusivity was worth it. The food was also excellent, as was the magic show. For shore excursions, I planned to just run off the ship, and I did that in all the ports but one. The only fees I paid on shore were a ferry to an island where I wanted to see Chateau d'If in Marseille, and a mandatory entrance ticket to a nature reserve at the Rock of Gibraltar. Over the week, between the outdoor track on deck 19, which is a dizzying 7 laps per mile, the treadmills in the ship gym, which can be competitive on bad weather days, and port runs, I ran more than 100 miles the week of my cruise, and I think I lost some weight, maybe the first person to lose weight on a cruise. So how did it all work out? They gave me room 5314, an interior stateroom with a queen bed. It was a little funky to get to. You have to go like the wrong direction up one hall and then loop around to come back to it. But it was super quiet. It worked out great for me. Since I was traveling alone, I didn't need any professional pictures taken. Since I live in Europe, my SIM card worked in all the ports, so I only had to do without internet while at sea. There were only 2 sea days, so this wasn't a problem, and I actually slept great without the temptation to stay up doom scrolling. As long as the ship was near the dock, I could get signal from an outside deck or most places outside my metal-walled stateroom. For drinks, there's lemonade and iced tea available in the buffets in the main dining room, but the rest of the time it was only ice water, which is free and fine. I did find myself wishing I could have juices more often, and I ordered a few, but I was charged for each. Dinners in the main dining room were excellent, and on my last night I splurged on a lobster tail, which was $25, but totally worth it. And for dessert, they had baked Alaska, which is my favorite. It was kind of small, and when I asked for a second one, my server didn't bat an eye and brought it to me, happily. The cost breakdown, the big reveal. The cruise was $1,580, which was a deeply discounted price, and I think worth it, for a single in a double room, interior cabin, no choice of location. I lucked out and got deck 5. It was very quiet, with easy access to the Lido deck, straight up elevators to 17. It was 8 nights Mediterranean on the Sun Princess. Base price of the cruise plus crew appreciation tips came out to a total of $1,968. On top of that, I opted for some extra meals, a few shore excursions on my own, and some shopping for gifts. I also did some self-care on shore. I went to a Turkish bathhouse, used the spa, got a massage, actually got a dental cleaning at a clinic, and I got my phone fully refurbished with a new case and battery. I also stayed 1 night in a hotel before the cruise to be in position, and I stayed 2 nights after to enjoy Rome for a day. So total cost, door to door, for the entire vacation, $3,420. But again, if you wanted to be extremely frugal and fly in the day that the cruise departed, which I don't recommend, and leave the day the cruise disembarks, which I also don't recommend if you've traveled somewhere, you could do it as low as less than $2,000 on a really nice ship with amazing food, incredible crew, and fun sights along the way. That's it. Enjoy. Happy travels.